That council did not come from the people, the majority of the people, I will say, that were directly harmed by what was going on. That council did not directly come from people who were in the direct line of fire of everything that was going on. That council did come from good intentions. However, that council did not come from the people that were being ignored during that live. From the people saying that that shitbird did not speak for them. That council did not come from the people who, for almost an hour, repeatedly asked, respectfully, in the beginning, to speak for themselves. This entire time, almost a month, we have been told time and time again that indigenous folks and Afro-Indigenous folks just came in and were demanding to be let into the space. Now, that is not what happened. For almost an hour, from the beginning of that shitbird's presence in that live, indigenous folks and Afro-Indigenous folks were very respectful in asking if they were allowed to speak for themselves, or at the very least, if someone who was not that shitbird could speak on their behalf. And those requests were ignored the entire time. During that time, multiple people in that friend group, in that clique, were allowed to speak on these people and their intentions and how they felt about that shitbird, about what he said. Multiple people were allowed to tell that shitbird why these other folks didn't understand what he said, that these folks couldn't separate what he said from their feelings about him because they were told some things and this and that and the other. During the time that folks were respectfully asking to either speak for themselves or have someone else that was not the shitbird speak on their behalf, and they were ignored, other people who were not part of those communities that were directly affected were allowed to flagrantly speak on and about those people who were being ignored in the comments. Then it got to the point where people were demanding to be allowed to speak for themselves. That's when it happened.
Yes. And also, I must add, to do something like that. So, because even if it's not, say it's not a community, say you don't understand the Indigenous community, right? One second. Say you don't understand the Indigenous community, but there's a bunch of problematic rhetoric going on and nobody's checking it. So, Indigenous people are saying, you need to let us up to address this. This is damaging. Why aren't you listening to us? To ignore them is in fact anti-Indigenous. I will stand 10 toes in that right now. That is anti-Indigenous behavior if you're allowing harm to happen to a community without allowing them to speak. The other thing I'm going to say really quick, because as most of this has been about my name, there's been quite a lot of it, quite a lot. Fun little stories have been coming up. So as they come up, when given the opportunity, I'm going to address them out loud with my whole chest for everybody spying, recording, or otherwise. You'll notice I said hi to Slip, my sister, in the comments. At no point ever did I say that is my blood sister and we are blood related to each other. That is my Indigenous sister. She is from the same area I am from. We have the same heritage. We have the same mix. We have the same everything. She's my Indigiju sister. Okay? So just for everybody to know, that is my sister who's not of my blood. Because apparently I have to clear that up. Hi, Booker.
Hey, how are y'all doing? I put my headphones in because somebody said I had an echo, so I hope this is better.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, Ash, thank you for having this live, and I appreciate you making the comment you said before about how I haven't had an opportunity to speak very much on this. There's just so much that has happened. So there's two things in particular that have really bothered me that come out of this for obvious personal reasons. And the first has been the attacks on mixed and multiracial people, which has been very harmful. I'm not just talking about black white mixed, which is what I am, but also indigenous and black, indigenous and white. Jewish people have also been attacked.
Everybody.
Just
Really everybody.
everybody. The Latin and indigenous community as well. It has been really disheartening to see that rhetoric come up from. I don't know. It's just been really disheartening to see that rhetoric pop up from folks, and it's scary to see, to be honest, some of the things that are being said. Like somebody in the comments said, lateral damage, and that's exactly what it is.
Lateral violence.
Absolutely lateral violence. And as I said in my video series that I did, because I was trying to take something that was an absolute mess and try to at least put some positivity on it, and rather than address the mess, try to put some educational content out there. So I did a 3-part series about white passing, white presenting, explaining that, and then specifically explaining it in the context of black white mixed, because it's not my place to speak on it as I'm not indigenous.
I don't want to interrupt, but I need to
Sure.
very quickly, and I need to preface by saying when I'm saying who's done what's been done to me, a large portion of what has been done to me has come from my community. So there has been a lot of lateral violence incited by these people and the violence they did themselves. I just want to preface by saying that like we know where the blame is.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Ash, you are a wonderful person, man. And the lives that you host are a safe space. And I just want to tell all of you, I love y'all. I don't know Booker and Rose, but just the comments itself is just giving. Y'all are matching my energy. And I just want to say, indigenous people, I love y'all. You see how there's 3 boxes? If an indigenous person were to come up here and be like, "Can I get in?" I would drop down immediately, because I am sick of my indigenous friends, the people of the LGBTQ, always being fucking silenced. All they want to do is speak their fucking voice, but no. We have these so-called safe spaces where we get silence, and it's so frustrating how I will defend my friends to my last breath. But what I've learned this past week is sometimes I had to take a step back and let people like speak, but also be there to support them. And I just want y'all to know, I will never let anybody silence y'all. Y'all are
Same.
amazing.
Same.
Y'all
If
are amazing.
we said this before, if it's our space, like we had said this the other day when we were thanked, some people like people from down under had thanked us for letting them up, and we had to thank them for coming up and sharing their culture. If it's our space and you're in our group of people, it's your space too, and you'll be respected just the same. And that's the other thing. A safe space is not a word, it's an action. If you're not actively creating one, maintaining one, and working to keep one, it's not a safe space. It's just a trigger word.
Like it's like the phrase, actions speak louder than words. Now if
Yep.
it's a so-called safe space, I'm gonna need to know it's a safe space. And Ash, your lives are safe spaces, and I love you.
I do wanna note that that goes also for people that I don't even like and people that I don't even agree with. I ain't gotta like you just to make sure that if you're in proximity to me, that you don't get attacked. Now that doesn't mean shit might not be heated. That doesn't mean shit might not get tense. Cause I promise you, if we ain't like that, it probably will be. But shit can be heated and tense, and you still be safe. And that's a concept that a whole lot of people don't seem to understand. I think I just saw Pat here.
I'm literally calling out all my Indigenous Jews when they come in. Hi, all my Indigenous Jews. Hi, guys. We see you.
Like,
See you. I love you.
I love that word combination. That's
I got a
wonderful.
prime example. So yesterday, I had a live shared with me, and Pat was in there. Pat knows what I'm talking about. We were up. This one person was like, this person just didn't understand what we were talking about. And he wanted to kind of gaslight what happened to me. So I put on my glasses. You know me, I'll be petty. And I was trying to explain something, but he kept cutting me off. And it kept frustrating me because, one, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't yell. So I was trying to be respectful to him. And all he did was just cutting me off and cutting me off. That is the problem. When, let's just, POC, when we try to speak on something, we will always get cut off, especially for black women. People will be like, why do you have to be so loud? No. They're not being loud. They are trying to speak on something. And that's one thing that I will do for black women. I hate when people say, oh, you're loud. You're getting... No. They're speaking their voice. That is what they're doing.
That was another space in that original live and in the days that followed that I think was a misunderstanding between two communities that just don't quite know each other well enough, I guess. Indigenous women are the same. So if an Indigenous woman gets loud and gets defended, that is how we are. That's how we speak. That's not something that needs to be tone policed. You're not being attacked. We're just loud people. We're loud people. We're aggressive a lot of the times. We swear. I swear so much. I get checked on it all the time, but like, it's the passion. That's the way we speak. And I think it's important to understand the people that you're talking to from both sides, because that's what happens, right? Like, you'll get this is those people aside. I'm just talking about like the people on the sides that we're trying to help. It's really easy if offense happens to get offended, and then your guard just goes up, and then you're not even talking, you're just fighting. Mm-hmm. So that's why we have like sharing spaces where we get to like hang out together and be like, oh shit, that's like me, or that's different, or note to self, that's a thing. And we're still going to make mistakes. That's why we check each other, and we are solid on checking each other. We'll do it on the lives, we'll do it in front of people. We check everybody equally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's been something that, the tone policing has definitely come up. I know that in particular, what dragged me into that in the first place was one, defending Witchy Twitchy, when I made that video, and using an insulting.
Before you get into that, quick, hey Scooter, can I drop you? Because I
want to show y'all something real quick. Hold up. Where my mom is? It's her birthday. Come here. All my mutuals are here. Say happy. Look, all my mutuals are here.
Everybody say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, I'm gonna go because I'm gonna go celebrate my birthday. I'm at her birthday. Bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Hey, Allie, where'd you go? I saw you in the request. Where'd you go? Come back.
Allie, come on back, and let's let Booker finish what she was saying, because we've all cut her off like 3 times.
Oh.
I feel so bad.
Sorry.
You're good.
I wanted to Booker.
But yeah, I was dragged into that, and that I could stay quiet about, and then I got irritated and wanted to clarify, because then that was being misrepresented to say that I insulted Jones as a defense of Chelsea, which I clarified in Pat's live and I Speak's live that no, it's defending my friend Julita because of things that had occurred in the past. I didn't like that I was being misrepresented as trying to defend problematic white women, especially when I'm not sleeping with a problematic white woman. And so into that segue, because I have become very gloves off at this point, I have sat on my anger for a little bit now. I tried to go the route of making a educational content to respond to the drama as opposed to attacking it outright. But I am a neurodivergent woman. I'm diagnosed with giftedness, hyperlexia, and I have sensory gating disorder. And I have been diagnosed since 5. I was on an IEP my entire K-12 education. I am very aware. One of the traits of my neurodivergence, which a lot of people don't realize, that giftedness and autism spectrum disorder tend to cross over. So that's why I've had a lot of connection with the ASD community, is that one of my traits, and the reason how I became a lawyer, is I am not able to reconcile injustice, and I am not able to reconcile illogical behavior. And I also have a son.
I need to follow you.
And I've just,
We're going
and
to be great friends.
I also have a son who was just after a year of trying to get a proper developmental assessment and provide services, was just finally officially diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. So you can imagine, as a neurodivergent mom with a neurodivergent child, to see autism and neurodivergence weaponized by a neurotypical white woman and a neurotypical Black woman on a live absolutely infuriated me. First of all, let's talk about this idea of people who have autism not being able to understand emotion. No, what that was describing was sociopathy. I am also have a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in public health, and my thesis is on toxic stress and the effects on the architecture of the brain and acquired neurodivergence. I'm not just talking from a personal standpoint, I'm talking from an educated standpoint, so I want to get that on the table. No, that is sociopathic behavior. That's not autism spectrum disorder. And that kind of rhetoric is very harmful to the autism community, to the neurodivergent community. It is ableist to say that people who have autism cannot understand impact over intent and morals or ethics because this is painting them as someone who is innately evil and cannot be changed and cannot learn any goodness in society. And that is a rhetoric that has been launched at people with autism for years. And to actively use that to try to defend problematic behavior and avoid accountability disgusted me to my core, especially when the autism community on TikTok and my autistic mutuals are currently facing a viral sound that is painting autistic people in an absolutely horrible light. And we need to be focusing on that. But to see someone who has had no interaction with the autistic community, from what I can see on TikTok, like the rest of us, from someone who doesn't speak about these issues until it was convenient to them, I found that to be extremely disturbing. And then to send two neurotypical people to talk about neurodivergence and then block Black neurodivergent women on that live when they tried to set them straight was ridiculous. But let's talk about logic, right? Let's talk about the fact that when it comes to neurodivergence and logic, that there are many ways that you can engage in logical reasoning. To say that someone can only understand logic was to try to paint her as infallible. She is not infallible. What that means is she can only understand things that are logical to her. Qualifier, logical to her. So I have questions. How is it logical to get emotional from someone talking about blood quantum when blood quantum is about the exclusion of a race and one drop rule is about the inclusion? Because my very logical neurodivergent brain tells me that that has nothing to do with me or my community. So for you to say that you are triggered and get emotional is illogical. How is it logic to see your friend's only video that does not name you and is simply venting and then make a public live for 11 hours and then make a public video as a quote call in logical? There is no logic in that. Nothing about this is logical. I have lived my entire life in logic. I have lived my entire life in fighting injustice, and I know what it's like to have my brain in literal discomfort and my body in physical discomfort because I cannot reconcile these things. And to watch someone try to take that sort of neurodivergence and twist it around because they don't want to take accountability for their bullshit is ridiculous, okay? And I will pause there because I have more to say, but I see Hannah chomping at the bit.
I did it. Okay. I have autism and ADHD. I also have a father who is a sociopath, diagnosed, okay? So when I was in a live with this person, there came a moment where I said something much like it was in the first live, and she did the thing that she did, and she started freaking out. And I said, if you can't handle it, you can't be in here. And somebody screamed at me that I was ableist, and I went, I am neurodivergent. I am educated. I am triggered. I am also doing the emotional labor, and I'm not conveniently screaming and crying the second it turns on me in any capacity. So don't call me ableist because I actually know how this works. And if you can't, like the harmful stereotypes, because everybody who watches our lives knows what happens when something legitimately comes up where I can't not. And I that's what happens. But do you know what I still managed to do that whole time? Shut the fuck up. Do you know how hard it was to shut the fuck up? I have 2 neurodivergent children as well. I have also studied psychology. Do not play with me. You're walking around here like a Sheldon Cooper looking motherfucker, just adding all of these atrocious stereotypes to people that are trying to exist. And then you're hiding behind it so you can weaponize it. First of all, neurodivergence is a superpower. You're welcome. And your logic train missed the fucking station because there actually has to be logic involved. So anybody who has watched our lives knows what happens. Anna can tangent like there's nobody's business. I can hyper focus and go off on some special interest that I then studied. But just saying logic train with a pile of bullshit is not autistic. It is not logical. It is not how our brains work. And then to claim that we don't understand emotions, tell me you know nothing about autism. Tell me right now.
Exactly.
Because especially as a woman with autism specifically, we are 9 times out of 10 underdiagnosed because of our severe empathy, because of our masking ability, because we don't understand nuance between situations, because everything is everything all the time.
Yes. And that's what I was saying about.
Thank you so much.
You did such a great job. That's how it is with my sensory gating deficit. And I said that I made a video that ended up getting pretty shadow banned where I explained, and also, how is it logical for someone to not understand emotion and to not understand accountability when they constantly made content about impact over intent for months and months and months about other people? How is it that someone can conveniently bring up emotion and being triggered or feeling attacked or talk about their feelings, but then they suddenly don't understand emotions? There's no logic in that. And I will say that someone who is logical doesn't have to constantly tell people that they are being logical, okay? Because that sounds like bullshit. And so I'm
I don't think in my entire 35 years of existing like this, I don't think I've ever done that. I'll be like, I'll do my thing, and then I'll be like, you literally watch me bounce to a topic and then just, and like verbal diarrhea. But at no point do I have to specify that.
Davis, go ahead.
Sorry.
Like, it takes like active physical focus in order to stay quiet while other people are talking. Okay, so as a person who grew up, I was raised by African parents, right? So we don't believe in mental illness in any way, shape, or form, right? Or anything from ADHD to neurodivergency. They don't believe in it whatsoever. So I didn't actually find out that was all the stuff that was going on inside this big old beautiful noggin until I was literally a senior in high school. So I have somehow managed to traverse the entire world with all of this without knowing I had all of this, okay? Now, coming from a person who actively, the way I have a semi-emotional disorder, right? With the fluctuations of how my emotions are actively balanced, right? So I don't get happy, I get extremely elated. I don't get sad, I get depressed. I don't get angry, I get rageful, right? So I have actively had, for the duration of my life, had to focus on how I view my emotions from an extremely logical standpoint in order to ensure that I was not overreacting in how I responded to people, okay? And respectfully, I have never heard anyone put that statement more truly in my entire life. Firstly, if you are looking for things from an extremely logical standpoint, you do not actively have to say, this is just logical, over and over and over again. Because if it was logical, people would understand it.
Mm-hmm. And because logic is logic to us, we don't have to describe that it's logic. It just exists as logic. It's fact.
And as I pointed out multiple times, there are multiple paths to logical reasoning. So to try to paint yourself as infallible just because your brain works on a certain logical pathway is wrong. And it's wrong to separate emotion from logic. They are not mutually exclusive, because often to reach a point to get through logical reasoning, you have to take into account emotions.
I actually have to address something quickly from my tangent that came up. Somebody said neurodivergence isn't a superpower that's harmful to people that have high function. Okay, so here's my deal. I also have family that is severely high needs, like severely high needs. I have several autistic cousins. We range the spectrum, my whole family. When I say it's a superpower, it's because the world that we live in is not made for us does not mean it is not a superpower. It absolutely is. Even my cousin, who was completely nonverbal for 28 years of his life, and everybody thought that he was incapable, they gave that boy a computer and watch him type. The shit he has to say is astronomical. Just because our brains live in a different universe and it doesn't match the world that we live in does not mean that we are not made differently, and in my regard, superiorly. And I get to decide that because it's my brain.
And just because our brains are made differently does not mean we cannot understand morals and ethics and be good people, because that is a huge problem by pushing that narrative.
Honestly, the fact that we manage to exist in this world the way it is built, so opposite to how our brains work in itself, and a lot of the times thrive, let alone exist, that is a superpower, because other people struggle to just do the bare minimum.
And I'm very Oh, I'm sorry, Divis. Please go
I'm
ahead.
so sorry.
Please.
It's only because I can't stay long. First of all, Booker,
you're good.
you're awesome. I already followed you because, like I said, you're like super cool. I also followed Ash because Ash, you seem like dope as hell, and I will be popping into your lives from time to time now because you seem awesome. And I'm also going to be following the Bed of Roses. But the main reason why I came up here is because originally when I first came in here, the first statement I had said in the comment section was like, "Do I got to get up here and defend my homegirl?" And Ash was like, "Defend." What I had meant by that, I wanted to explain what I meant by that. Is one of my like genuine favorite human beings in the entire world, at Caden A. Icon, legend, moment, one of the most intelligent human beings I have ever met in my life. And that's saying something because I believe myself to be one of the few people who has a God complex, right? So there are not a lot of people in this world that I will actively look at and say, yeah, you're probably smarter than me. But her, I'm going to say that with my full chest. She is probably a lot smarter than I am. Fact. She has dealt with so much hate, disrespect, violence, and anger because of the BS that stemmed from that entire situation that she is still dealing with up until now. She can't even go live in her own spaces without actively being like mass reported and attacked, right? She's dealt with a slew of hate comments, hate messages. Mind you, for the girls who don't know, she's an Afro-Indigenous woman. Okay? So the amount of disrespect that she received in that space was already astronomical, but then they took it off that space, right? What with them discussing it over and over and over and over.
Wait. I do have to stop this a little bit because we do we are going to get to certain things with receipts and with evidence.
Right. Of
so
course,
we're just some
that's
things
why,
we got to
like I
wait
said,
for.
Unfortunately, because I literally have to go pick up my groceries. They're coming.
It'll be on YouTube.
That's why I'm trying to get it up so quickly. And when it comes to the receipts, believe me, Bestie, I haven't seen them. I'm aware, right? And I'm gonna let y'all obviously because y'all need to go into that and break that down for people so that people understand the information as it's being given. I completely understand that. The only reason why I'm speaking in the way that I'm speaking is because solely I have seen her have to deal with this mess on such a problematic level, right? And then when an apology was asked for, we got that conversation of, oh, I don't think I need to apologize because looking at this a lot.
Yeah.
Oh.
I froze.
You're good.
The conversation of I don't need to apologize because looking at this logically, I didn't do anything wrong. Firstly,
Yes.
like Booker said, logic can be subjective. What you believe to be logically correct does not need to be my specific beliefs, right? And then there's also the conversation of logical consistency, right? Because if your logic becomes inconsistent, then I can deem it to be illogical. Okay? And that was the big thing that was a problem for me. So I reached a certain point where I was just like, okay, if y'all are saying you don't want to apologize, you don't want to say anything, you just want to live how you live, do what you do, okay, that's fine. But leave it alone. Stop discussing it. Stop. Just let the girls live, right? Live and let live.
And
but
stop dragging in the disability community into it.
Right? You're dragging all the girls who don't need to be here into it, and it was a problem. So what I would like to say before I drop down is I honestly would like to say thank you, and it is appreciated from all of you for actively standing up for the girls who are being affected by this situation. We really do appreciate it. And to my homegirls, right, who are being affected by this, 100%, I would just like to put this full up, right? I'm going to stand 10 toes down on it, right? Y'all need me, I'm there, right? Just give me a real ring, right? Send up the bat signal, and I will be there. Because like I said, I feel like during the duration in which this happened, I decided literally for one weekend I wasn't going to do nothing on the app. I went out, and just like that, when I wasn't patrolling the streets, the inmates fled the asylum. So now I gotta be back and I gotta start putting people back where they need to be. And if that's what it needs to be, that's what it needs to be. So I will always be here. And if the girls ever need me, all you need to do is send up a little bat signal. I'll be there. Also, before I leave, Ash, the nails are giving. It's just, I feel like you get very much a good click clack when you're talking. And I'm here for that. Much love. And I hope you all have a lovely day. Mwah.
And I did want to jump into something more about logic before I lose the train of thought, and I am going to jump off after this. But yes, somebody pointed out, my friend Julita, she said, how is it logical to try to deny Booker's blackness because of being biracial, especially when there were other biracial and parents of biracial children involved in that conversation? Again, there was no logic in that situation. But the one part that I really want to talk about, Ash, because you were so kind to make this video, is the shoot the fair ones comment, okay? Because a lot of people came out and said that's AAVE and you didn't know AAVE. Myself and a lot of other Black folks who I talked to privately had not heard that phrase either, right? And unlike Nugget's girlfriend, I am Black American, born African American here, not Liberian American. I've grown up with AAVE my entire life, so I'm from Memphis. I'm from one of the blackety blackest cities, so I know AAVE. So I don't like that. I would never deny somebody about their African culture and what they grew up with, so I don't like being told what I do and don't know about my own Black American culture. But I want to break that down really quickly. The phrase was preceded by, "We're going to have to call the pastor," which usually means a threat of violence. And then the phrase used was after talking about me and trying to invalidate me as being light-skinned and being biracial, was "shoot the fair ones." The phrase when I searched, and the phrase that was used in the screenshot, and by people defending it and saying that was just AV, was "shoot a fair one," not "shoot the fair ones." So my logical brain tells me that if you precede that AV phrase with "we're going to have to call the pastor," and then you change the wording ever so slightly after invalidating someone's Blackness as a light-skinned biracial woman, that was a veiled threat. Okay, so I do want to put that on the table because, as I said, diagnosed with hyperlexia at age 5. That means I have an extreme obsession with words, with letters and words. That's what that is. It's how I became a lawyer. But I want to put that on the table. And even if you use the phrase "shoot a fair one," everything that I saw said that meant a fist fight. Again, still meant physical violence, even if not shooting with a pew-pew. So I just want to throw that out there for the person who has said all this time that they have been logical and not emotional, and they're just using logic and not emotion. This person has acted extremely emotionally, extremely irrationally, inconsistently. So the logic is not there when there's so much inconsistence. And I don't like the fact that autism spectrum disorder was weaponized not even by the person with the diagnosis, but by that neurotypical, problematic-ass white girlfriend. So
Yes.
that is my problem there. And I will include Desiree B. Stevens. That is her username. I'm not just saying her name. That is her username, was in that conversation as well. That is the most flip-flopping, spineless person I have ever seen in my life, to sit there and make videos talking about "you are what your mother is," while her mother is white, but she calls herself a Black woman, sits there, tags, and is co-signed in the comments on the video that was coming at me, where Breezy tried to call me out, and then to sit in that live with Nugs and placate that neurotypical white woman while basically throwing Black neurodivergent and autistic women under the bus. So I'm trying to figure that woman out, but all I can figure out is she is a flip-flopper, a clout chaser, and she has no spine. And everyone can take that to the bank. I have been trying to be very classy and quiet and just be polite through all of this. I am absolutely done. The threats that were made at Carnival Gal, the allegations made against Carnival Gal for making threats that she didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. I won't go there. Sorry.
We're going on. We have a timeline.
We
of
have
things
receipts.
We're going to discuss,
Okay.
and we need to make sure we're not doing what they're doing. So as excited as we get,
Yes.
if I do stop you guys, I'm not silencing anybody.
good.
It's just because I kind of know what we're going to do. And I do also want to give Ash the opportunity to speak on this because that was their video and it was manipulated and sent to people the wrong way to make it look
Absolutely.
like Ash didn't know what they were talking about when they very much did know what they were talking about. It was just cut in a certain way.
Yes. Thank you, Anna, for keeping me organized and everything organized. I will.
I get it, girl.
Just,
I get it.
I just, yeah, and it's honestly pent up because, like I said, I stayed quiet. But I will say hello, Carnival Gal. I hope you're doing well. I'm going to step out of the box. I think I've said enough at this point that will probably.
Do I follow you yet? Because you're my new bestie, and I feel like I need you in my life, like
But
for
let me
real,
go ahead
for real.
and remedy that. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. But I will step out of the box and I will just end it with saying I will always defend the autistic community. I will always defend the neurodivergent community, and I will not stand for people weaponizing those communities when we have already faced, and the autistic community has already faced, so much subjugation and discrimination and harm. I mean,
And
the
we're
fight
trying to
just to
break
get my
down-
child
Yeah,
out
we're
of
trying to break down those stereotypes so that we can
Yes.
exist in this world.
Literally using abusive therapy tactics to this day against people with autism spectrum disorder. The amount of money I had to pay out of pocket to get my child in a non-abusive program because insurance will only cover what is essentially abuse. And to hear people just weaponize that, anyways, I will leave it at that. Thank you, Ash, as always, for the space. You are appreciated. Thank you, Anna, so much. And Carnival Gal, just thank you for being you, because I know you've got your own
Thank
stuff to talk
you.
about.
It's fine.
Allie, what is up? How you doing?
Hey, babe.
What's up? How
God,
are
long
you
time no
guys?
talk. How you been? You look cute. You look cute.
I know. I know, it's been a while. How have you guys been?
Oh, God.
What you mean it's wow? It's only been like an hour. Literally just talking to you.
Yep. So,
You good?
is Alive frozen?
Nah,
I can't hear.
You good? Can you hear?
You can't hear?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Pat,
We can't hear you.
you're breaking up horrible.
Cutting in and out.
That's
out real bad.
that maple syrup Wi-Fi got you.
I mean. Maple
Oh,
syrup gang
no.
over here, though. Like, we can't even talk.
No, I know. I had to get him back the one time.
It's only because he's frozen, so he can't even defend himself. I don't feel like that's fair, Allie. It's the only chance you get.
Don't tell him, guys. Don't tell him what I said. He doesn't know.
He can hear you, for sure. For sure.
But yes. Well, listen. I'm ready to go. So
All right, go ahead, girl.
Oh, wait, hold up. Babe, you don't have headphones you could put in or anything? Because, like, your volume sounds pretty low comparatively. Can we do a volume check for everybody in the comments before we get going? Is there a delay? Can you hear everybody all right?
can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we're all good? Okay. Just sometimes when people come in and out of the boxes, it can mess with the stuff, and we want to make sure that everything's lined up. Bear in mind, guys, I'm here as the severe neurodivergent to be running the logic train today. So I'm gonna logic this train every time we need to logic the train. That's me.
Oh no, please. Last time I got on the logic train, I did not get off safely. Please.
Pat said the McDonald's.
Pat said what?
McDonald's Wi-Fi.
That's where it's at.
All right.
Ladies first. Go ahead, please, by all means.
Where do I start? Okay, so originally, I was just watching this from the sidelines, trying to understand the different perspectives amongst the Black and Indigenous community. I'm not Indigenous, I'm just Black. I was in the original live stream that happened with the enablers, so to speak, and the original creator of that video. Mm-hmm. And what I saw in there was absolutely atrocious. I could not stand to see them lie blatantly on this app about what happened. And I wanted the truth to be out. I didn't think that because they were bigger creators that they were exempt from accountability. And so I clipped together a couple videos, and I also provided receipts to the people that I could. I posted the links to receipts on not the Desiree person, no, the original live stream with everybody. So I specifically clipped together a clip of Nuggets. Are we allowed to say names? I don't know if we're not allowed to say names.
The usernames, yes. We're not
Okay.
doing nobody government names. We're not doing none of that. We're like usernames, and that's it.
Okay. So I clipped together a video about Nuggets and how she said originally that it was a white space, first she said it was a safe space for Black women, and then that became a white space, but not a white safe space, a place to talk about anti-whiteness. But then she said why do you feel as Indigenous people that you can feel comfortable coming into my white space or a white woman's space and talk about your Indigenous grievances?
Oh, we also need to watch the W word, because that seems to be the one that TikTok will take you down for hate speech. It doesn't matter if we say the other things. It's just that one for some reason, like that one. Those people.
Okay, so we're calling them W women. So basically, I was like, well, if this is a space to talk about anti-racism and how W-ness is a disease, then why are Indigenous people not allowed to express their grievances here? So I clipped together the video, and it did include the part where Nugget's girlfriend said, this is an Indigenous conversation, so I'm stepping out. That was to add context to the situation, and that is one of the videos I made. The other one I made was a link to the YouTube in the bio that had all of the live stream. Well, not all of it, but most of it, most of the highlights that everybody talked about. And after that, I thought, you know, I'm sure they're going to be mad at me about the video. I'm sure they're going to be upset that, you know, I clipped together. I mean, it didn't show them in the most negative light, right? In no state or reason did I ever think that it would come to what it's come to now. So, Nuggets had posted a response video talking about how, well, she was basically screaming, and I think we've all seen that video, about threats that her girlfriend had received. I commented on the post, and I was specifically spoke, oh my God, Pat. I specifically spoke to...
Look, we're trying to be serious, Pat. We're trying to be serious and angry. Stop coming with the jokes.
But now,
see, I'm not even looking at the comments. Like, I'm just trying to.
Though the occasional humor is appreciated, though.
It's important, actually.
Go, girl.
So I specifically spoke to the things that she was screaming about in the video she made. She specifically pointed out my friend Anna, who's right here, and I commented and I said, "Hey, you are a grown woman. You are a white woman. You had the power to end that live, regardless of who was in your ear, out your ear, who was in the box. If what you're saying is true, right? That your space was designed for these specific people, and then it got hijacked by Indigenous people, then you could have turned that shit off yourself. And anything else that happened after that falls on you." So that's what I said to her. And she was like, I suggest you never show your face on mine or Breezy's platform again. So I was like, is that a threat? And she was like, you of all people would know about threats. Now, I've asked many people what that would mean to them if someone said to you, you of all people would know about threats. And most people responded saying that would mean either you made the threat or you have something to do with it. You're in proximity to it, or you're a person who makes threats often. Something with you and threats, it's alluding to that you of all people would know. So I made a video and I said, prove it. Prove that I did it. Prove that I made that Furby video, which I did not. And for the past week now, I have been told that I'm acting crazy, that I'm out my mind, that why isn't it weird that someone's defending themselves if we never outwardly accuse them and no one ever said I did it? But we'll get to that. And it's just been a constant back and forth. Meanwhile, I'm getting constant DMs from people telling me that I made the threat, I triggered her girlfriend, I did all of these things, and so they're not directly saying my name, but they're alluding to me. All right? Once we get to this point, I'm fed up. So I'm going on lives and I'm defending myself and I'm doing what I can to get my word out there. And now I'm hearing that it was indeed. They did believe that it was me. They did believe that it was me.
And me.
Yes. And the ways that they came to those conclusions are absolutely the most ridiculous bullshit that I've ever heard in my fucking life. Woo! I don't know. Are we gonna get into detail about what the methods that they used to track
we will
people?
I think at some point too, I would like, because let's bear in mind, I'll tell everybody how I got into this situation in the first place and what's happened to me specifically since I've been in it. Because there was alluding to things, but then there was also fully saying names, mentioning authorities in Canada next to them. Yes, babe?
No, I think you should go next and tell that part. I think that would be a good timeline for that.
Okay, well, we're going to let Allie finish. We'll just skim over the
go
details.
ahead.
And then I need a minute because I actually have to, I have to mentally prepare myself to go back into all that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to literally step away for a
Okay.
second for that, because the timeline of events that they have given and the justification that they have given for the real things that they have done are very wrong. Very, very wrong. And there was no alluding to it being me. There was
Nope.
2-minute videos screaming. And everything that I have done out loud with my whole chest, in person. That is it. The reasons I did it and what I did are very clearly there for everybody to see. The fact that a bunch of people from other communities, including my own, decided to take this as an opportunity to also jump on board with this unseasoned chicken and attack me, that's on you. That is on you. And every single receipt is going to be coming out, because I am sick of having to not only defend myself, but now my family and my real life from your guys' internet bullshit. So I'm sorry if I get it. Threats are serious. Let's take threats seriously, okay? But some vague threat may be made on the internet versus real life action are very fucking different.
Yeah.
So excuse me if I don't have a lot of sympathy for you about something you perceived to be threatening when you then turned around and retaliated in the direction of somebody who had done nothing to you.
That part.
Because that was real action.
Various people.
So I'm going to step away, and you guys can keep giving the rundown. I think it would be handy if we gave down the rundown of what the actual timeline was. Like what started, whose events, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Because a lot of people don't know the sequence of events. So even like a vague rundown of from the Modern Warrior live to Alyssa's lives, like through the days, so that we can get through it. Because where that video that Nuggets posted came up in relation to the timeline is very important. It is very important. That was a choice. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Allie, do you want to go about that? Because I'm having.
Okay, so basically, I basically gave a rundown. I mean, we all know how the original live went. So, there was Anna's sister who was in the box, not her blood sister, which she's already announced on this. She's already made clear on this live, and she basically. Wait 1 second, sorry. So Anna's sister was in the box. She basically was trying to explain how her perspective and how she was hurt, things like that. She announced herself as an Indigenous woman, what her intentions are, the work that she's done in the community. And after that, she was told to get out of the box. She was kicked out of the box. She was lied on consistently. She was told that she told Nuggets to shut the fuck up, white lady. When actually the quote she made, which is not something I'll be able to quote directly, I'm sure maybe Anna can, but it was something like, white lady, you've had your time to speak. Yes, it was Flip.
Like
white
that.
lady, you've had your time to speak. And you can sit down now. And I'm not sure if someone else said shut up, white lady, but they've been really hammering in on that one line. No, nobody else said it? Okay. So it was never said. And
I'm back.
So
No, I can say I got it.
All right, on following lives. Okay.
I got it.
On following
Are we ready?
lives.
No, I'm gonna go from our perspective in there. So I got called
Go ahead.
into this live the original live, Ash was like, get in here, this is wild. And I was watching the same thing everybody else saw, and if you haven't seen it, it's on YouTube. The facts are all there. Point in fact is there was a lot of anti-indigeneity happening. There was also anti-blackness happening, but there was specifically once the Indigenous women got up into the box, the treatment was absolutely fucking disgusting. So my not blood sister was up in the box, and during that live, and we can actually go back and see, when Slip came up, she did proper protocol. She said who she was, where she's from, who her people are, etc., the work she does in the community, everything that justifies her as a light-skinned Indigenous woman, which is what this was about, to speak on the effect it had on that specific community. Not only was she disrespected and spoken over and repeatedly disrespected in the comment section, what I watched come out of the comment section in her direction was disgusting. But there was a point where somebody went, "You're speaking over Indigenous voices, you're silencing us." And Nuggets motioned over to her and went, "She's a white woman, and I told her to be quiet too." So right there, at that point, Slip decided to quote one of our strong Indigenous women from the Great White North, who had stood up in Parliament and had told a reporter to, like, be quiet, white lady, sit down, white lady, you've had your time to speak. For 400, etc. years, you have been heard, white lady, it's our time to speak. It is a very famous quote. In that live, she even explicitly said she was quoting that. She did not scream it, she did not yell it. She simply stated it and then left with grace, actually, which I understand by seeing how hurt she was, how difficult that would have been to do, okay? So the next day, and bear in mind, I have not had any engagement with any of these people prior to this. I was not in the box Nuggets live. I was not in her live, even though she did say that in the video. I did not identify myself as a white woman, even though she said that in the video. So the next day, when I came across Alyssa and Carnival and all these people for the first time, I was like, I witnessed it, because they were talking about it. I'm like, I witnessed it. My sister was in the box. I would like to speak on this. So I got up and spoke for her because she wasn't there. She had personal stuff going on. She couldn't be there. And I got up to speak about what I saw and what happened. And then Nuggets came to us. Nuggets came to us, to our live where we already were. Is the live glitching? If it's glitching, just leave and come back. But Nuggets came to the live where we already were. And when I got her up there, I very calmly, we also have this on video, I wasn't speaking for myself. It wasn't personal. I literally said, maybe, because I gave her the benefit of the doubt. I said, maybe you got in over your head. Maybe you didn't understand the community or the harm you were causing. So now is a really good time to fix that and heal that. I didn't want to fight. And I legitimately said to her, what do you plan to do to learn about the community to assure that moving forward, something like this doesn't happen again? Like, you can't fix what happened, but what are you going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? She then, if you watched it, was incredibly dismissive, insulting, refused to look at us, and then she ran away. She came back up and did it again. 2 times she ran away. And then Breezy came up and did it. 2 times she ran away. And I had encounters with all these people. I have never spoken to Ray. I have never talked to Ray. I've never been mutuals with her. I don't know anything about the woman. I don't care to, because I just don't care to have that in my life. So the next day...
I never had interaction with Ray after that live.
So both of them, when I tried to address them about this, and Breezy did the hiding behind autism thing at me and called me an ableist, and this, that, and the other. So at this point, I'm really upset because all I've tried to do is ask for where the accountability is. So the next day in Pat's live, which I was allowed to come up into, so thank you, Pat, I was explaining how she had done that. And then again, I got called out on using terminology that was incorrect because I'm not used to it. And I fucking own that. And I'm like, bet. Like, I don't know. Now I know. Won't do it again. But she then came up, proceeded to flat out ignore me, do it again, and leave again. Now, this is the only engagement I had with her. I was not on her comment section. I was not in her videos. I was not in her lives in any capacity. I had made no video about her. And up until this point, I don't think Ash had either. That day, she decided to make that video, screaming at me, accusing me of being this whatever account, making a whole video with my whole name, My account got flooded, and they've already admitted to us, some of them have admitted to us to mass reporting. So my account, I had to go private at that point. I had to host a live at that point. Again, I ended up in one of Pat's lives, like explaining what had happened and stuff. And I just want to thank Pat for the emotional labor that week was, and everything that he had to go through to be there in that and to facilitate that space. So at this point, I'm getting actual attacks. And then again, the only thing I said back was after that had happened. And guess what? It is my right to respond to a video that my whole name is in with a white woman screaming at me for over 2 minutes, implying that I was in her live, saying I introduced myself as a white woman, saying that I'm threatening her girlfriend, all of this shit, which I never did, when all she had to do was grow a pair and answer my goddamn question. That's it. That's all I asked. I don't give a shit about any of them. Their life is their life. I asked them a question on behalf of the women that they harmed in that live, and they couldn't even get down off their soapbox long enough to be accountable for it. I ended up getting up there, being called up there by a bunch of people to defend other Indigenous women in that group as well. And that was weaponized against me at a later date also. So I now have, my name has been mentioned with the RCMP and Child and Family Services more than twice in the last week. There was a live that went on Nugget's page that went on for 12 or 13 hours. I was a main subject in that, even after not saying anything to her other than, hey, why don't you come back and finish that conversation? She twisted everything that I said, accused me of being anti-Black, accused me of all of this stuff. The only receipts she brought were manipulation of the like one little thing that I said, like a bitch, whatever. I had said nothing still. Even in our lives, we shut people down. We weren't going to talk about it. We weren't going to do it. While they held a 13-hour live, repeatedly saying my name. And I popped in to make sure they weren't talking about Pat, ironically, because I was in Pat's live, just in time to hear them say my name, Ash's name, and then start reading out random people from the comment section making claims about my indigeneity, about my family, about my business, about all this shit about me. Unsubstantiated claims that now have real world repercussions. And I need to remind people that the government doesn't actually care how Native you are when they show up with Child and Family Services. You know that, right? So I'm sorry if I don't give a shit about your video and how you felt threatened by that, because my kids are now in a different province with my mother where they may be staying until this is sorted out, just in case the RCMP shows up at my fucking door. So if you're going to be up on the internet with your whole chest and act all grown and all tough and everything else, and then pull shit like that, if you're not about that life, don't fucking be about it, because I am. And I assume that everybody I go up against is also about that life. So I will not be pulling punches on you. I'm going to treat you like I expect to be treated, and I'm not going to cry about it. That part. That. And the fact that even yesterday, and in all these rooms and in all these places, nobody had a problem saying my fucking name. They loved saying my name. They all apologized all over the board, but to me, they said my name, they caused this shit, and none of them would even acknowledge me or speak to me. If you're going to say my name in private and in public, you best believe you better be able to address me, because I have some fucking questions.
The irony is that these are the same people who sit there in their lives and get frustrated. And get frustrated when people talk about their friends in the box who are no longer in the box. And they sit there and they say, don't speak on someone who isn't here. Don't say somebody's name who isn't here. And yet they have no problem holding 13-hour lives, speaking on a whole lot of people's names who aren't there. Again, it's the whole rules for thee, but not for me. It's the whole double standard of I do this for my friends, but everybody else can fuck off. And what anyone here will vouch for that has seen us for any length of time, I don't care if you follow us. I don't care if you're cool. Everyone gets held to the same fucking standard.
The other thing I want to add really quickly here, if you do not do the due diligence to check stuff that is brought to you before you act on it, you're not acting in defense. You're firing the first shot. And everything I do is in self-defense after that, and you earned it. Don't step up if you can't bat. Like, that's just what it is. And you better be fucking sure of your sources, or at least put eyes on any fucking receipt before you go cause real world harm to people, because that was you firing the first shot. Would you like to know the rules of engagement? As somebody in the military, you think you would, but maybe I can break it down for you. You started it. And I was always told, like where I grow up, don't start it, but you better fucking finish it.
My daddy told me when I was like 8 years old, you better not start a fight, but if you ever find yourself in one, you better goddamn well finish it.
Like, fuck.
And the thing is, for a group of people who pride themselves loudly and boldly all across this motherfucking Harriet Tubman and John Brown's internet about logic and facts, to level accusations for weeks, almost a month now, of threats and proximity to this and that and the other, no due diligence was done.
No.
No follow